Qualcomm shares are popping 10% right now to $180.43. May I just tell our viewers that it was about less than a year ago, about May 24th of a year ago, that this stock was at $101. So we're looking at a more than 2-year high after the smartphone chip maker showed massive gains in its automotive and handset businesses and gave a much more optimistic outlook for the current quarter. Qualcomm says revenue for the April to June quarter will come in between $8.8 billion to $9.6 billion. Analysts had projected sales of $9.08 billion. But here's what investors are really dialing up. Qualcomm said sales of its AI-enabled chips to Chinese Android phone makers have ballooned 40% in the first half of its fiscal year. Let's find out more about that and much more from Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon, who joins us live. Cristiano, nice move in the stock, certainly. But to me, that's one of the biggest surprises in your report. What has suddenly awakened the premium Chinese smartphone buyer?
Look, here's how you should think about the smartphone business in general, not only in China. I think we had said a couple quarters ago that the market was stabilizing. I think we see the market is stable. But the big news is really that the mix has improved. People are choosing to buy a higher tier or premium tier phone, and that's where we shine. That's where the Snapdragon 8 series is the undisputed leader within that Android segment. And what we have seen is really the premium tier was resilient on a market which is, even for the year, is flat to slightly up. And we're starting to see the first innings of users starting to experiment new Gen AI on devices. And I think that is driving the flagship. And I think we're very happy with the results. I think the premium tier has been good results globally, and especially in China, as you mentioned, have been 40% up for the first half of the year.
Yeah, 40% in the first half of a gain there. With every name like Xiaomi, Vivo, you got a whole bunch of these names of the phone companies out there. And that leads me to just this that I'm interested in knowing. You guys have flown under the radar, not just you, but a lot of the smartphone chip makers have sort of flown under the regulatory radar, which the NVIDIAs of the world and the MDs have not, because they have actually had to stop selling certain chips to China if they are a national security issue. Your guys' chips so far have not. Have you modeled for the potential of that at some point?
Look, some of the conversations, especially as you look at export controls, I think the Commerce Department has been very clear. A lot of the restrictions that have been imposed on semiconductors focus on national security. It did not really impact chips going into phones, into PCs, into cars. And the way I think about our China business is, if you have a leading technology and you have a differentiated technology that people want, it's just a function of the market size. You're going to have a big business in China. But the interesting thing is, in China, those OEMs had actually, even as Huawei re-entered the space in China, those OEMs had not lost share, and they're holding it strong. And for us, it's been a great story.
Apple, of course, is also a very big customer of yours when it comes to RF modem systems. I'm not asking you for any proprietary information because I know how squirrely everybody gets about that, but channel checks done by Barclays show a drop in the last couple of weeks of double digits, and that's compared to year over year. Can you give me a sense at all about the demand for the modem chips that go in the Apple phones, and tell me about specifically how those are dealing with in China?
Look, I cannot comment on specific customer demand, but what I can tell you, what I can tell about our Apple relationship is it's great. We've been executing to what we said before. We have a multi-year agreement with them until 26. We've been executing to that agreement. I think we're happy with the position that we have in modems. We recently announced the X80, which is the most advanced cellular modem in the world, and it's the one that it has the next wave of 5G, which is 5G Advanced. And I believe that modems are going to become more important, especially in the era of Gen AI, because if you're not, besides having AI on the device, when you're doing AI on the cloud, you want an instant response. So it's like having a voice call. You want the latency and the response time, and that requires a high-quality modem.
You guys are firing on just about every cylinder, and the automotive industry, too. Thank you so much for coming on to talk about it. And we'll continue to watch this. And, of course, after the bell, we get Apple, so maybe we'll get a little more granularity than what you gave us. Thank you, Cristiano.